And this small, tight stadium, a very intimate venue for such a big game. A reminder of the Wales team once again. No Kiefer Moore in the starting lineup. That's possibly a surprise. Gareth Bale, we think, will operate as the false nine. There's also a return to international football for Joe Allen. He last played in the crucial qualifying game against Hungary back in November of 2019, which clinched Wales' place at the Euros. Of course, he's had a serious knee injury since then, which kept him out for 9 months. And Danny Ward is preferred in goal. Wayne Hennessy is fit again following his injury on international duty in Bulgaria back in October. It is Ward in goal, Roden, Lawrence and Mepham the back three, Roberts, Ampadu, Allen and Williams across midfield, with James and Wilson either side of Bale. The Belgian team, well, they have one or two injury problems. There is no Eden Hazard, of course, and you look at the quality in their side. Jason Denayer is another player who is missing, but apart from that, they look to be pretty strong. Axel Witsel is another player who currently has a long-term injury. Courtois in goal, Alderweireld, Vermaelen and Vertonghen their back three. Meunier and Hazard will be the wing-backs. That's Thorgan Hazard, with Dendoncker and Tielemans an all Premier League heart of midfield, with De Bruyne and Mertens either side of Lukaku. There were some doubts, Dean Saunders, about Romelu Lukaku's involvement in this game, but he did have a negative COVID test, so he was okay to travel, and stopping him may be one of the keys, but if you stop him, then you have to worry about De Bruyne and everybody else.
Yes, it's a bit disappointing that he's fit for the game, because I thought that was a bit of a result. Although they have got Benteke and Batshuayi on the bench they can use, but he's playing, so he's got to be marked. And I would have thought Wales pack the middle of the pitch, make the ball go wide. The lesser of the two evils is the ball gets crossed into the box. Well, we've got three big centre backs against Lukaku. He's probably the best in the air in their team, but whatever tactics you use, you're going to have to play well tonight to win this game. Like you said, you've got to keep them all quiet.
Cüneyt Çakır of Turkey is our referee. Both sets of players and officials take the knee before kick-off. Wales in their yellow shirts, green shorts and yellow socks. And Belgium in their change strip of as well, of all white. And the road to Qatar finally gets underway. And Wales, the first UK nation involved, here on TalkSport 2. And it is the ultimate test in many ways against the world #1 ranked team Belgium, who will be attacking in the first half from left to right. Alderweireld will find Vermaelen, and now Vertonghen is brought into play. Back three, of course, which used to line up against each other in the North London derby, but all apart from Alderweireld have now gone their separate ways. And it looks as though at the start of this game that Harry Wilson is playing in the centre of the attacking trio, with Bale pulling wide to the right-hand side, but you would imagine he'll have freedom.
Yeah, I was just looking at that as well. It's interesting to see what he's thinking there when he plays Harry Wilson in the middle. Obviously they're just trying to pack that middle of the pitch and leave the three centre-backs with the ball. You know, if they've got a weakness, you have to say that the Belgium centre-backs, Vermaelen, Vertonghen and Toby, he's on his last legs for me as well. He's not as quick as he used to be. Well, we've got Dan James and Gareth Bale, who've got a lot of pace, so there's a weakness there.
Long ball was played forward for Belgium, looking for Dries Mertens on the left-hand side of the penalty area. He had pulled on to Chris Mepham, but the flag goes up for offside, and Wales will have a free kick. Roberto Martinez, of course, is the coach of Belgium. Many eyebrows were raised when he got the job, but he's suffered only 4 defeats in his 51 games in charge. Comparatively, Rob Page has very little experience as a frontline manager at this level. Of course, he took charge of the international break in November when Wales eased through towards the top flight of the Nations League. And it's an interesting situation with Ryan Giggs currently unavailable, and it's not clear when he'll be able to take charge of the Welsh national side again, as Connor Roberts just picks up a knock on the far side, a player who has been in stunning form for Swansea City for so much of the season. Never seems to miss a game, and he's somebody who produces a Rolls-Royce performance on every occasion.
Yeah, just looking at this there, I think Robert Page might have just said, let's see how them centre-backs line up. Who's going to play in the middle? It looks like Vertonghen and Vermaelen are the two wide centre-backs of the three. And we line up accordingly. So we'll get a race with Bale and a race with Dan James. So Pagey might have just said to him, let's just see how they line up and you just play accordingly.
And Belgium have dominated possession so far in the opening 3 minutes here on TalkSport 2. 0-0 in this small stadium, 25 kilometres northeast of the capital, Brussels. It's usually the venue for Belgium's under-21 side and also the women's team, but it was used during the Nations League. England lost here by 2-0 during Belgium's group games, and it's a place which the players apparently enjoy playing in, so whilst there are no spectators, this is where they remain, as Harry Wilson is just nudged over with an aerial duel with Alderweireld, and Nico Williams will take a free kick for Wales. He's the left-sided wing-back, but of course right-footed, and it's a right-footed free kick now. High diagonal towards the far side, and it's some way beyond Bale and gathered by Courtois.
Yeah, interesting. Big game for the young boy. You know, he's played a couple of games, but this is the biggest game of his life. He's playing left back. Normally he plays right back, but let's see how he copes tonight. He's got some world-class players playing 1-2s around him, so he's going to have to be sharp in the head.
Of course, he scored an injury time winner against Bulgaria during the Nations League. One of those succession of 1-0 wins which Wales enjoyed, as Mepham clears on the far side, and he breaks back in field to Connor Roberts. And now Mepham again, just on the corner of the penalty area. Has support from Wilson ahead of him, but tries to thread the eye of the needle and play it further forward towards the halfway line, but it takes a ricochet, and it will be a throw-in to Wales on the far side. And it is great to see Joe Allen back in a Wales shirt again.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's just his attitude spreads through the camp. Joe Allen has got the heart of a lion. I mean, I managed to work with him as well. I took him on loan from Swansea to Wrexham, and his biggest strength is his attitude, and he's brave. You know, if there's a scrap going on in the middle of the pitch, a tough match on a bad pitch, he'll have a go at that, but he's a good footballer as well.
Here is Williams coming forward now for Wales, just cutting in field again onto that right foot. And he's got support on this near side from James Lawrence, who is picked again as one of the back three alongside Mepham and Joe Rodon. And our long ball is played wide on the far side, looking for the run of Connor Roberts, who had just gone in behind Bale, but it was overhit once again, and it's gathered by Chadley on the edge of the penalty area. And the pitch here doesn't look exactly pristine, particularly on this near side, where a couple of areas have been heavily sanded, as Meunier plays it forward for Lukaku with his back to goal, but the challenge comes in from Lawrence, and now there's an opportunity for Dan James to show his pace on this near side, breaking up towards the edge of the penalty area, but he invites the challenge from Tielemans, and Belgium very comfortably win the ball back.
Well, that's good play. I mean, the danger for Wales is actually when they've got the ball and they think they're doing okay. It was a bit of an injury there. That doesn't look good. Joe Allen feeling his hamstring. Disaster.
And he went down very quickly.
That's a hamstring.
Just flexing that left leg. And Gareth Bale is there to offer some sympathy, it seems. Ethan Ampadu is there as well, but only 6 minutes into his international comeback, Joe Allen looks to be in some trouble here.
This happens a lot, you know. You've only been out for a long time injured, and you end up going in the gym every day and you're doing different training than you normally do, and using muscles that you don't normally use, strengthening your legs on the weights machine, and then you come back and you get little injuries, probably because you've tired your muscles out, different muscles that you don't normally use. He's probably trained so hard to get a start in place tonight, because I know what he's like. He's been trying to show Pagey that he's fit, and he's lasted 6 minutes tonight. Hamstring.
Joe Morrell is coming on straight away for Wales, and Joe Allen looks extremely disappointed as he makes his way towards this near side. He's walking fairly freely, but there really is no point in heightening the risk at this stage. And Joe Morrell, now of Luton Town, comes on to win an unexpectedly early 13th cap.
Well, the only positive I can think about that is he's gone down that quick and he's just sat on the floor, so he didn't make it worse. He might be alright for the Czech game. He probably missed the Mexico game, but fingers crossed. It's just a little strain, and he may, might be 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, Wales are at home to Mexico at the weekend before a home game with the Czech Republic, their second World Cup qualifier, as Belgium play that long ball forward, looking for Lukaku again, but it's headed away by Rodon. And now De Bruyne, first time he's really had the ball for Belgium, on this near side there right. Now Tielemans, who was superb for Leicester in their FA Cup victory over Manchester United at the weekend. Wide towards the right-hand side again, then back in field towards Vermaelen. Alderweireld takes over. And Belgium do move the ball around very sweetly when given the opportunity, but now it's all the way back towards Courtois, defending the Belgium goal away to our left-hand side, but with nearly 9 minutes played on TalkSport 2, neither side has really had anything approximating to a shot on target, as De Bruyne's crossfield ball is deflected into the path of Ampadu and it's guided back to Danny Ward.
Yeah, I mean, this situation that's going on now with the 3 centre-backs of Belgium just having the ball and just playing it across the back, and they've been practising Wales for 5 days just doing this. The danger for Wales is when they get the ball, and a lot of these teams just drop off against you sometimes just to let you have the ball. Connor Roberts ends up out of position, other fullback ends out of position, and then the Stingy on the break.
Here is Ampadu for Wales. Belgium have now given the ball away midway inside their own half. James tight to the touchline on this near side, the left, and it's back in field towards Lawrence. And across the back for Wales, Rodon also involved. Then a ball played in field almost into the path of Lukaku, and there's some more hurried clearance there from Wales, but they do the job, and now they've got the opportunity to bring it forward themselves. A lovely ball wide towards the left-hand side, back in field towards Bell, threaded through. Oh, what a glorious goal for Wales! Harry Wilson and the world #1 team are behind, and that was absolutely outstanding. Lovely one-touch play. Bale with the perceptive through ball, and Harry Wilson stroked it beyond Courtois. And what a start to Wales's World Cup bid. Belgium 0, Wales 1.
Well, what a goal. I mean, it's right from back to front, and Connor Roberts has run the length of the pitch, and what a pass from Gareth Bale. Harry Wilson tucks it away brilliantly. They've gone down the right-hand side, come inside, but Bale comes short. Harry Wilson plays a 1-2 with him, slots it in the corner. What a finish with his left foot. Bale, class. Wilson, class. 1-0 up in Belgium against the world #1.
And you spoke about the pace of the back three, Dean. Vermaelen there was pulling tugs, wasn't he?
Treading water. I mean, there is a weakness there, but nobody's seemed to have found it for against them, but we have. And I'm feeling a bit better after Saturday's rugby performance in France. I'm still getting over that, Nigel.
Well, as a Swansea fan, it wasn't a great day for you, was it? So.
Well, I mean, we're 1-0 up in Belgium. Keep it going.
Harry Wilson scoring his 5th international goal, and what a goal! And we talk about the quality that Belgium can bring to the party every time they play, but you will not see a better goal anywhere in the international break this week.
I've got to be honest, when Connor Roberts was overlapping our right back, I was thinking, where are you going? But he's joined in the attack, and what a goal though, when you watch it again. World class.
12 minutes play, Belgium 0, Wales 1, and once again Wales are causing problems for the Belgians. Unbeaten in the previous 4 meetings. Of course, there was that memorable evening in Lille when Wales knocked Belgium out of the Euros in that quarter-final victory by 3-1. And in the qualification for the Euros, Wales got the better of Belgium as well, a 0-0 draw in Brussels before Gareth Bale scored the only goal on a very wet night in Cardiff. Remember, Axel Witzel's back pass was seized upon by Bale, but Bale with the assist there. And such a cool finish from Harry Wilson, on loan of course at Cardiff City, and delivering for his country there.
You're supporting Wales tonight, Nigel, aren't you?
I'm Welsh.
I know. So your mum's proper Welsh.
Indeed, no, yeah. Welsh speaker, yeah.
And Russ Williams, he's got to be supporting us. The whole nation is behind the team tonight. And if you're really pessimistic, have we scored too early?
Well, long way to go, but 13 minutes play. Belgium are not a side used to being behind. Here is Lukaku on the edge of the penalty area, has support from Meunier down the right. He pulls it back, but it was blocked at the near post by Williams. Now De Bruyne fizzes in the cross, headed away by Roden this time, knocked back in towards the edge of the penalty area by Tielemans, and now Wilson does well and plays it wide towards Williams. A ball down the line, down James looking to use his pace once again, and this time it's tidied up by Vermaelen, but every time as Courtois almost gives the ball away to Wilson on the edge of his own penalty area, and Belgium at the moment here are rattled.
Well, yeah, the pace, you know, Dan James, any Man United fan would tell you, is there a faster player in the world than him? I haven't seen one. He's over box-to-box distance, he's as quick as they get him. Bale, if he wants to, I think he's still got the afterburner there, but he'll bring it out if he needs it. But you're right, you know, you just got, against them three big centre-halves, they lack pace, just play 1-2s. And when we're counter-attacking, make sure you get Dan James in a race.
But here is De Bruyne now in a central area, 20 yards out wide to Lukaku on the right, comes back in field, left-footed shot though is charged down at the near post, and Wales are able to clear once again.
Great defending from Mepham, he just didn't dive in. He's got Lukaku there on the right hand side, ball at his feet, exactly where he wants it in the slot, wouldn't let him go on his right foot, and in the end gets a good block.
Throw into Belgium on this near side. Alderweireld finding Meunier. His ball in field was blocked, and then it deflects back into his path. Wilson is charged down by Dendoncker, but Wales will try and bring the ball away. Bale believes he was fouled, but nothing given, and now it's wide towards the far side again for Belgium, who look to build down their left, but they trail here by a goal to nil. Harry Wilson scoring a goal which will be watched in Wales and elsewhere again and again. But Belgium are looking to move forward again with Meunier. Tielemans back towards Alderweireld, and Dendoncker, who is the anchorman just in front of the back three, forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Lukaku lays it back towards Tielemans. Here is Hazard now, left hand side of the penalty area, high cross in, headed away at the near post by Lawrence initially, then volleyed towards goal, and it took a deflection. It was Tielemans with the shot, which was deflected wide for a corner.
He's a good player, Tielemans, and we've seen him doing all sorts of things for Leicester, tremendous, but he's playing, he's got forward there, but he's playing in a bit of a deeper role. De Bruyne is trying to play behind Lukaku, but what he does, if it's blocked up there, the number 10 position, he just starts drifting wide like he does for Man City. How do you stop him?
Big question. De Bruyne with the corner, high into the area, headed away at the near post by Roden. Meunier quickly transfers it wide towards De Bruyne again. Great cross in, and from 2 yards out, Lukaku has lofted the ball high over the crossbar. Perfect delivery from De Bruyne, and Lukaku somehow missed.
That makes me think it's our night. What a ball from De Bruyne. He's opened his body out, the ball's come back out to him, right foot, whip, right round the back of Wales' defence. There's three Belgian players trying to get on the end of it, and Lukaku 2 yards out, it dips on the half volley to him. I've been there myself. That ball comes off his shin and goes over the bar, and that's exactly what's happened to him. It was easier to score than miss.
17 minutes play, Belgium 0, Wales 1 here on TalkSport 2, the opening game in the World Cup qualification for Qatar 2022. Loads of international football coming up this week across the TalkSport network. Tomorrow here on TalkSport 2 you can hear live commentary of England's opening game in the Under-21s European Championships. They meet Switzerland at 2 o'clock. And there's commentary here on TalkSport 2 with Alex Crook and David Connolly. The senior team at home to San Marino. Over on TalkSport tomorrow night with Mark Saggers, Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce. Here on TalkSport 2, the opening game for Northern Ireland, a tough one as well, away to Italy. And there'll be full commentary with Joe Shannon and Jerry Taggart. But Wales, at the moment, leading in Belgium by a 1-0 against a side who have not lost a home qualifier since 2010, when Miroslav Klose scored the only goal for Germany. And they have scored in every single game since they were beaten by a 0 by France in the World Cup quarter-finals 3 years ago. That is 25 games, and they've scored in every single one. But records and runs are there to be broken. And Wales lead here by a 0 Alderweireld wide to this near side, and defensively Wales have been very sharp so far.
Well, good tactics. I mean, we haven't got a centre forward, so we're playing with a back five, 2 in front of them, and then another 3 in front of the 2. So there's no strikers up there, and really, common sense, you'd want the 3 centre backs who aren't very good on the ball compared to the rest of the team. Leave them with the ball. Let them have the ball. If you want to pass it across the back, across the halfway line, let's stop the geniuses getting it if we can.
It breaks down for Belgium on the edge of the Wales penalty area, and they look to break quickly with James. And James has done well to work hard and get the free kick. He was pulled back, but it was Harry Wilson who was pulled back by Dendoncker, and it will be a free kick for Wales, who are doing everything right at the moment, leading here by a 0 and the Republic of Ireland also lead by a 0 in Belgrade against Serbia. Of course, Stephen Kenny has had all sorts of problems since becoming the permanent manager, replacing Mick McCarthy, but Ireland lead by a 0 Alan Brown with the opening goal in that match. Elsewhere today, the Netherlands beaten 4-2 in Turkey in their opening qualifier. Of course, Turkey, alongside Switzerland and Italy, are in Wales's group for the Euros. Also in this group, it's already Estonia 1, the Czech Republic 1. Wales play the Czech Republic next week, and they were briefly behind during that game in Tallinn, but it's now 1-1. Elsewhere, Slovenia leading Croatia by a 0 France have just taken the lead against Ukraine. And of course here it is Belgium 0, Wales 1, with 20 minutes played here on TalkSport 2. Belgium dominating possession, but it's Wales who have the only goal, and what a goal it was.
If you're a young footballer and you play in the number 10 position and you want to watch how to do it tonight, De Bruyne, I'm watching him, his movement, he's refusing to be marked out the game. He knows where to go to get the ball. He just drifts out onto the wing, goes the opposite way where the ball is, and eventually the ball gets to him.
Now Lukaku with his back to goal inside the area, challenged though by Rodon, and that's excellent defending once again from the Spurs man to just ensure that Lukaku couldn't roll him, and then he nudges the ball off the Belgium striker, and it's behind for a goal kick.
He's a handful, isn't he? You know, you've got to get 90 minutes of Lukaku tonight, and you've got to somehow keep him facing his own goal. Don't let him get in behind you. He's good when he's clean through. He's a good finisher. I mean, he's missed, say he's a good finisher, he's missed an unbelievable open goal 5 minutes ago, which is great. We're still 1-0 up.
Dean Saunders has scored twice for Wales in European Championship qualifiers against Belgium back in the early 1990s. Wales eventually finished behind Germany in that group, despite beating the then world champions in Cardiff. Here is De Bruyne, he fires for goal, and there is the equaliser for Belgium. Kevin De Bruyne showing his quality once again, 25 yards out, right-footed, and Gavin Ward had no chance. De Bruyne's 21st international goal, and it's Belgium 1, Wales 1.
Well, you might have had a Man City shirt on. You see the goals he scores from that sort of range. It's exactly like the goals he scores in the Premier League. He's drifted, found the hole again. I was just talking about it. He's found the hole, number 10 position. But there's certain players you've got to close down. We said before the game, you can't let De Bruyne pick his head up. Anywhere 35 yards from goal, he either hits a killer pass or he shoots. And what a strike that is. Right foot, he bent it into the far corner. In off the post. No chance for Danny Ward.
And just like that, it is 1-1, and Belgium maintain their record of scoring in every single game since the World Cup semi-final defeat to the French.
Do you know, if you're playing with two sitting midfield players and a back five, you can't sink into the back five, them two. So Ampadu's got to get out quicker and make him pass it rather than pull the trigger. You know, it wasn't a quick attack. They went down the left. De Bruyne come out the box, sliced across the box to him. They had time to get out to him.
Antoine Griezmann scored the opening goal for France. They lead Ukraine by a goal to nil. 1-1 here in Leuven. Wales with the early lead, but Kevin De Bruyne, after Lukaku should have equalised, has now restored parity. And this is a Belgium team who won all 10 of their qualification games for the Euros, scoring 40 goals in the process. Russia, Denmark and Finland will be in their group. And the way things are looking, the other three will be playing for second. Now De Bruyne, Tielemans, wide to this near side, and Meunier, who works a 1-2 with Hazard. Meunier with a low cross into the near post, and it's just guided behind by Rodon, and it will be a corner to Belgium.
Yeah, Nico Williams there just sampled a bit of world-class football there, where Meunier's just played a 1-2, done him with a 1-2, but is a bad cross, got cut out the near post, but they've got a corner. De Bruyne, Mark Lukaku.
And that's something which Rodon is looking to do. The high ball in, it's glanced on by Alderweireld, and nobody had gambled at the far post for Belgium. It's gathered by Lukaku. Now Hazard. Alderweireld once again. And it's all the way back towards Vermaelen, who plays his club football now alongside Andreas Iniesta of Kobe in Japan. And a high ball wide to the far side is over the head of Hazard, and it will be a throw into Wales. 25 minutes play on TalkSport 2. Really good game of football so far, and Wales are fully playing their part in that, despite having only 27% possession.
Yeah, but if you just said to Robert Page or us two, or any Welsh fan, it'll be 1-1 after 25 minutes, we would have taken that. So the only thing is we've lost Joe Allen.
Yeah, Joe Allen replaced by Joe Morrell after 7 minutes, just before Harry Wilson scored the opening goal. And Rob Page came into the Wales setup after the back-to-back defeats against Croatia and Hungary midway through the Euros qualifiers, when there was a risk that the wheels could be coming off for Wales, and he's been given a good deal of credit for increasing the defensive organisation. And you look at the Nations League group, Timo Pukki was the only player to score against them in 6 games.
He's a good player, isn't he, Pukki? You know, they got relegated Norwich, but he didn't have to do well that season, and it's dangerous.
Carried on scoring this season.
Yeah. You know, he's lethal. No, most teams, all support different teams, and we've all got players who look like they're going to do something, but actually flatter to deceive. De Bruyne is one of them players. He's like Gareth Bale's the same. They've got like end product in everything they do. It's either a good cross, good shot, but they have an effect on the game most weeks.
Well, Bale has already had an impact on this game with the assist for Harry Wilson. De Bruyne, though, with the response as Wales play a rather aimless ball forward, and Courtois was able to guide the ball out towards Vermaelen once again. It'll be slightly surprising to see Vermaelen in the side at the age of 35, with players like Jason Denayer on the bench. Now De Bruyne.
I thought Denayer was going to play tonight. He gives him a bit more pace. it is a weakness. It's their lack of pace.
Tielemans, right towards the far side of Mertens. Hazard with a high ball into the area, hooked over the shoulder by Lukaku. He was looking for Meunier, and he eventually finds him just outside the penalty area. Here is De Bruyne now, down the right-hand side, back towards Alderweireld. De Bruyne once again just almost beckoning Dan James towards him. It's a high cross into the penalty area, and it's a free header for Hazard. Wales losing out at the far post, and Hazard has the second goal. It was Connor Roberts who was out-jumped by Hazard. A free header in the end, and Wales' good start to this game has now been undone. It's Belgium 2, Wales 1.
Well, that's just a terrible goal to give away. They've got the ball out wide. It's just a cross, a right-footed cross. Connor Roberts is marking Hazard, and he just falls over. I'm looking to see if there was a foul, but it's a deep cross to the back post, hanging, and Connor Roberts has just fallen over. Hazard's not even at the jump, he's just headed it. Free header, 6 yards out. Terrible goal to concede. Connor Roberts has got to do better. When the ball's out wide, we've been talking about Lukaku getting on the end of things. You don't expect Hazard to come in and out-jump you at the back post, and he's tapping his forehead now as if to say, I never scored in my head.
Well, it's his 5th international goal, Thorgan Hazard. Now at Borussia Dortmund. Of course, his brother has had a more glittering career, but Hazard continues to be part of the international scene for Belgium. And he has put them ahead here after the early shock of the Harry Wilson goal. Also in this group, it's now Estonia 1, the Czech Republic 2. They've come from behind to lead in that game. It's also Malta 0, Russia 1. A reminder, Alan Brown with the opening goal for the Republic of Ireland. They lead in Serbia by a goal to 0 earlier on. Turkey beating the Netherlands 4-2 in what looked to be a cracking game in Istanbul.
Well done, the Turks. I played there for a year, Galatasaray, and my son was born there, Callum. So he's got a bit of Turkish in him, I think, hasn't he? What's that class in as? Is he Welsh mum and dad? Born in Turkey?
I think he's Welsh. Well, these days you're never quite sure, are you, with the residency rules? I suppose if he'd expressed an interest in playing for Turkey and got the passport, you never know. He's definitely Welsh, isn't he? You wouldn't have it. Now De Bruyne plays it wide to the far side again, and Hazard back in field towards De Bruyne, who can come in field onto his right foot, threaded into the penalty area. Dendoncker was the furthest player forward on this occasion, but Wales will clear with half an hour played, now trailing, having led early on in this game. And it's all about just trying to stick in the game and not allow Belgium to overwhelm them.
You set up in training, you get a game plan, and you say, right, let the 3 centre-backs have it, force them to go wide, stop De Bruyne and Tielemans getting on the ball, make it go to the wing-backs, let them cross it, try and stop the cross if you can, but if they do cross it, stand strong and don't get beat in the air, and don't leave anybody have a free header. So we know the ball's going wide, just pick men up, space doesn't score. And I would say to Connor Roberts, you've got to do better. If he says I've slipped, I'd say you're not allowed to slip. You're a defender. You've got the right boots on. Why did you slip? You've got to do better. It's an awful goal to concede.
And Belgium now enjoying even more possession inside the Wales half in this game. The winners of the group qualify automatically for the World Cup. The runners-up will go into the playoffs. Wales could still have a potential backdoor towards the World Cup following their performance in the Nations League when they won their group, so they've been promoted to the upper echelons, but they could also potentially have a playoff place if required. You would assume in the long term that Belgium will win the group and Wales will probably be in a battle with the Czech Republic, and of course it's such a crucial game coming up in Cardiff next week with that in mind.
Yeah, it's all making sense, that Nations League now. You know, we're all a bit confused by it, everyone, but
Here is Tielemans driving forward now. Lukaku on the edge of the penalty area. Crowded out initially, and the high shot in the end is deflected over the top. It was Hazard who let fly. And Belgium denied on this occasion.
Well, that's another situation where the two centre midfield players have sunk into the back five. You can't do that. You've got a spare man at the back. Well, in fact, you've got two. There's three centre backs marking Lukaku. So your two midfield players in front, they can't track runners all the way into your back four. They've got to pass them on. That's what the sweeper's there for, to pick them up. Because if the ball gets played square, 35 yards out, people are getting free shots of goal, i.e. De Bruyne, and there was another one there. So they've got to pass people on and then get out to the ball and close down.
Tomas Souček has now given the Czech Republic a 3-1 lead in Estonia. So early days in the group, but Wales, you feel, have got to beat the Czechs next week. It could ultimately come down to the two games in that group, and they'll also need to take care of business against both Belarus and Estonia. It's only a 5-team group because Belgium are involved in the Nations League finals in Italy in October, so Wales will have a couple of free dates now and again, including that game coming up against Mexico at the weekend, when I would imagine we will see a number of the fringe players given an opportunity.
Yeah, are you counting us out of this game? I think we're still in it.
No, we're in this game, but you would think that the Mexico game we will see people like maybe Norrington Davis. Chris Gunter could possibly get his 100th cap.
Hopefully, yeah. Chris, he's been a great servant to Wales and loyal and loves playing for his country, so it'd be nice to see him get 100 caps. It doesn't happen very often, but I still think we're going to score another goal in this game. We've shown signs there with the pace that we can get in behind the three centre-backs. So we're not out of it. We've got a mountain decline, but we can still do it.
Dendoncker has just caught Harry Wilson, so it's a free kick for Wales. We played 34 minutes here on TalkSport 2. This game being played in the Dendré Stadium in Leuven. And at the moment, the surroundings are suiting the home side as De Bruyne just slips and he's given the ball away. And there's an opportunity for Wales to try and break here. It's lofted wide to the far side, and Harry Wilson has now gone down with a problem inside the centre circle.
Well, that's another scare we've got there. They're showing clips of De Bruyne taking Nico Williams on, but I'm more concerned about Harry Wilson. Please don't be a hamstring. If it's just a kick, he'll be alright, but we've got a really important game against the Czech team, who are a good team as well.
Well, Wilson currently receiving treatment. Of course, it was his goal which gave Wales the lead in this game before De Bruyne and Hazard have turned things around. Wilson looks to be okay to continue. Our Turkish referee Kunyet Shakir is just having words with Gareth Bale. They'll be familiar with each other from matches around Europe in the Champions League.
I have to say, I think he's picked the right team, Robert Page, and I think he's done everything right. And I can see what he's thinking, with Kiefer Moore. He's a big, strong target man who's impressed me, actually. He works his socks off. He's like, he wouldn't let you down if you picked him. But he's playing against three experienced big centre-backs that actually don't want to play against pace. So what he's done, he's put Wilson and Dan James and Bale, and they're going to rely on sporadic counter-attacks, which has worked.
We're just watching a replay of the goal, the second goal, and there didn't look to be a foul on Connor Roberts. The pitch isn't the best in certain areas, and it just seemed that Roberts did lose his footing.
Call me harsh, but you're not allowed to slip when you're defending. If you've done that every game, you give a goal away every week. So just got to be stronger. He's just gone down too easy, and it's not as if Hazard's a big strong.
Well, he's one of the smallest players on the Belgian team.
5'7", and never scored with his head, so shouldn't have been a problem. And I'd say to him after time, there's no point in me setting you up to let the ball go wide and let him cross it if you're not going to head it.
Elsewhere, Malta 0, Russia 2 now. Portugal leading Azerbaijan by a goal to 0 thanks to an own goal. The Republic of Ireland still a goal up in Serbia. Wales trailing 2-1 here with 8 minutes to play in the first half. And we have League One action coming up on the home of the EFL, TalkSport 2 on Saturday. Bristol Rovers against Sunderland is a big game at both ends of the table. Then on Sunday, Albania against England kicks off live on TalkSport at 5 o'clock. Israel against Scotland will be here on TalkSport 2 at 7:45 as Mertens goes for goal from the edge of the penalty area, and he gets right underneath it, and it will be a goal kick to Wales.
Well, apart from his chance, Lukaku, he's not really done a lot for what we're 35 minutes in, 40 minutes nearly. If we can get in at 2-1 down at half time, and Pagey can have a chat and say, right, let's start the second half at pretend it's 0-0, and we are going to get some chances by the end of this game.
Wales have had one chance so far and scored it. And Belgium, in fairness, have only had 2 shots on target, and both of them went in. Now Vermaelen wide towards the far side, just forcing Vertonghen to scamper. Jan Vertonghen, of course, now of Benfica after leaving Spurs. Tielemans, who at the age of 23 is very much part of the long-term future for Belgium. Now Meunier. Lukaku had the opportunity to try and turn beyond Williams and Ampadu, but he was strong enough to win the throw-in, which Meunier will take.
I mean, we'll wait and see what the end of this game, what the result is, but I'm looking at Belgium thinking, you 3 centre-backs with Dendoncker in front, who's not mobile either. Are you going to be, against the best teams in the world, are you going to be able to cope with the pace that's going to be coming at you in major tournaments? I'm not sure. Like they said, it's their last chance.
Here is De Bruyne inside the penalty area, but he just overruns it, and it's hooked away by Rodon up towards the halfway line. For someone like Kevin De Bruyne, who's 29, he's possibly got the Euros and the World Cup at the absolute top level. He could still be a great player for many years, but if we're talking about World Cup winners, he's possibly got this chance.
Well, he's surrounded by world beaters. I mean, sometimes we get George Best playing for Northern Ireland, and the players, no disrespect, the players around him weren't as good as him. Well, De Bruyne's got endless talent to get the ball to him. He's got, when he makes his crosses and his through balls, he's got world-class strikers to get on the end of it. So they've got everything set up for him. I just wonder, have the sell-by date at the highest level in major comps?
Well, here is Tielemans, wide to this near side, looking for Meunier, but it's overhit straight out of play, which is a rarity from Yuri Tielemans recently, and it will be a throw into Wales with 5 minutes to play in the first half here on TalkSport 2. Harry Wilson with the early goal to give Wales the lead, but Kevin De Bruyne and Thorgan Hazard have resumed normal service for the home team, who have been so impressive under Roberto Martinez overall. Unbeaten in their last 29 competitive home games. Of course, England came here and lost by 2-0 during the Nations League. And the high ball is played forward again, and it's cleared away by Alderweireld. And they're wide towards this near side again, and De Bruyne. Hazard takes over. Serbia have equalised against the Republic of Ireland. Dusan Tadic with the assist, and Dejan Vlahovic with the equalising goal. And it's just before half-time.
What do you make of Lukaku? I'm undecided about him. I can't make my mind up. We've watched his career. He done well for Everton, and then he goes Man United, and sort of...
Well, United seemed to be the wrong club at the wrong time for him, didn't it? But you look at what he's achieved in Italy, and also with Belgium, then he's right up there, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't argue with his record in Italy, and like you said, he's doing it at the highest level for his country. I just, I can remember Brighton playing, and I think back, Brighton played Watford at home, and Troy Deeney and Andre Gray played against Dunk and Duffy, and actually bullied them, backing into them, using their body strength. And then the following week, Man United played him, and I thought, Lukaku must have watched Match of the Day or watched the game and think I could do that. And he hardly made a run. He just didn't hold the ball up. He didn't put his body in them. And I thought, well, you're either not bothered or you want to be somewhere else. But so I can't make my mind up about him.
Well, his record for Belgium is very good. 57 goals, and this is 90th international. And it should be 58 goals because he missed an absolute sitter before. And I suppose we can judge him in the tournament. I mean, he had a good World Cup for Belgium, and he'll be aiming to be one of the stars at the Euros. Still only 27 years of age, so...
If you watch this game and you didn't know it was him, and you watch the game, you'd think, he's not made a run, he's not held the ball up, he's had one chance.
Well, he's running into the penalty area now, and it was cut out very well at the near post by Rodon, and in the end it's a throw into Belgium on this near side. But it's the danger of Lukaku, isn't it? He's hanging on the shoulder every single time.
Yeah, I mean, Aguero makes a living doing that. He's the man that all the good moves. You've got to have a number 9 who's coming into the 6-yard box and finishing off the good moves. That's why they call finishers, because they finish the move off. But you've got to have someone who's prepared not to get involved in the build-up and be there when he should be there. Lukaku, you could say, is doing that, but when I watch him, I'm thinking you can do so much more. You're quick, strong. How many runs do you make? I'm counting. I bet he's made one run in 45 minutes.
But technically, he is somebody who I think has grown his game. Maybe the move to Italy, where you possibly get fewer chances, has helped that as well.
Yeah, he's playing with good players, but also he'd probably say, well, have a look at my goal record. That's what I'm there for. So maybe he is that lingering round on the shoulder. There's another tapping. But I think, oh, look, you've got so much more you could do to your game.
Thomas Souček has scored again for the Czech Republic. They lead 4-1 away to Estonia in the first half of that game, which is in Wales's group. And on the monitor, we are just watching Joe Allen, who has sat there behind his mask rather disconsolately. His international comeback lasting less than 7 minutes here with a hamstring injury.
That's a blow with Ramsey being injured as well, because seeing Gareth Bale misses Aaron Ramsey. When them two are on the pitch together, which doesn't happen very often, believe it or not.
Well, Ramsey's only played one game this season for Wales. That was that dreadful 0-0 draw in Dublin against the Republic of Ireland in the Nations League.
But Aaron Ramsey sees a pass and he can play the pass at the right time. He needs someone who's on the same wavelength as him. That man is Gareth Bale, and Gareth Bale needs Ramsey to put him in. So they work well together, but we don't seem to get them on the pitch often enough together.
We're into 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half here. Belgium leading Wales by 2-1 here on TalkSport 2. And it's been a very entertaining half of football. It used to be said that Wales needed Bale, Allen and Ramsey all playing at the same time to really function, but they found a way in recent years due to the injury problems which Ramsey and to a lesser extent Bale has had, and of course Allen was unavailable for the whole of the Nations League. Younger players are stepping up, but to get them to step up against a team like Belgium is a really big ask.
Well, think back to the Euros. Can you remember the team that we had out? When you look at this team now, there's been lots of changes. The back three was James Chester, Ashley Williams, Ben Davis, Neil Taylor left wing back, Chris Gunter right wing back, Joe Ledley, Aaron Ramsey, Bale and Joe Allen. And then he decided he either played Robson Kanu for pace or Sam Vokes for aerial ability, and that was his only decision, Chris, and we had it off to a tee. So there's lots of changes being made when you look at this team.
Here is Lukaku now, right-hand side of the penalty area. Mertens popping up, looking to deliver a cross in. He manages to squeeze it beyond Williams, but it had no pace on it, and it's gathered at the near post by Danny Ward. And that is half-time. Wales were given the perfect start by Harry Wilson, a wonderful team goal. Gareth Bale with a delicate ball through, and Wilson rolling the ball beyond Thibaut Courtois. Belgium, though, responded with a long-range effort from Kevin De Bruyne, which was simply too good for Danny Ward, and then a slip inside the penalty area from Connor Roberts allowed Thorgan Hazard a free header. And at half-time, it is Belgium 2, Wales 1. Thank you, Russ. Harry Wilson and Gareth Bale lead out Wales for the second half. Good to see Wilson back out after his injury late in the first half. Of course, he scored that terrific Wales goal in the 10th minute, and that will do his international confidence no harm at all. A reminder of the Wales team: it is Ward in goal, Rodon, Lawrence and Mepham the back three, Roberts and Williams in the wide areas. Ampadu now has Morel alongside him due to Joe Allen's earlier injury, with James, Bale and Wilson very fluid in their attack. For Belgium, of course, they have a team which is shot through with quality. Courtois in goal, Alderweireld, Vermaelen and Vertonghen their back three, which has shown its advancing years at times. Meunier, Dendoncker, Tielemans and Hazard, with De Bruyne and Mertens supporting Lukaku.
Yeah, as I said to Russ there, I think we've not done badly. You know, we're not being overrun, we've not been battered. We've sort of kept the game, kept them at arm's length, apart from a few incidents where Lukaku's missed an open goal, De Bruyne has had a couple of shots, he's hit a great ball in. Apart from that, you know, we've had one chance on the break, but you can see, looking at the game, that we've got the legs on their three centre-backs.
And that is why a change is being made right at the start of the second half. Jason Denayer, the player who came through the academy at Manchester City and of course has been so impressive for Lyon in the past few years, he has come on to replace Thomas Vermaelen, which looked to be an odd selection at the start of the game, and now it's been rectified by Roberto Martinez.
Well, yeah, he's obviously an experienced manager. He's looked at the tactics Wales have put out, and that is the obvious tactics. Wait. Dan James in a race, Bale in a race against 30-year-old centre-backs. So he's brought the young lad on who's had a sort of strange career. Then he started at Man City, didn't he? And couldn't get a game, so he's left, and he's doing really well. Is he at Lyon now?
Yeah, he's at Lyon now, yeah.
He's doing really well, so he's quick, different type of player to them three. And he'll probably be responsible for marking Dan James.
Second half is underway. Belgium in all white, playing from right to left. Wales in their chain strip of gold and green, as Morel plays it forward over the top, looking for Wilson over his head. Denayer heads clear, and now Bale sweeps a high ball into the direction of Dan James down the left-hand side. Meunier will try and cover, but James has done well to find Williams. Williams back in field to Ampadu. And here is Morel looking to spread the play. Mepham. And he's got support from Wilson, who's come back very deep for Wales. Wide towards the far side. And James Lawrence, who of course has stepped up from the German second division with Sam Pauli, the other side in Hamburg, to play in this game. Now Williams with a high right-footed ball into the penalty area. It was almost nodded down at the far post by Wilson, but in the end Belgium will clear. Wales want a free kick as a player has gone down clutching the back of his head. It's Harry Wilson, but nothing is given, and there's an opportunity for Belgium to break, but Mertens has his pocket picked on the far side by James, and James quickly plays the ball in field towards Williams, and with Williams and James in tandem down the left-hand side, that's possibly where Wales can get some joy here in the second half. Now the ball is played high and in behind for Bale down the right-hand side, and he's got there before Vertonghen, and Bale comes in field, checks back onto his right foot, and eventually tries to take on one man too many inside the penalty area, but once again a promising sign for Wales.
Well, there you go, Gareth Bale outpacing the Tongan. He looked like he had a piano on his back. Gareth Bale's given 5 yards, ghosted past him, tried to check back on the byline onto his left foot, and just got snubbed out, but he's got him behind him with his pace.
Now a quick throw in from Connor Roberts, finding Ampadu, high cross into the penalty area, guided back across the face of goal, and Bale goes for the acrobatic overhead kick, and he didn't quite get the angles right, and it's wide, but that was a real opportunity. Courtois was nowhere near the cross. It was played back into the 6-yard area by Dan James, and Bale, with his back to goal, tried to improvise and was just unable to execute the overhead kick.
He normally scores them. Well, what a great effort. It's a deep cross similar to one they scored from, and it's gone to the back post. The goalkeeper tries to come for it and decides not to. Dan James keeps running outside the back post, flicks it back across the goal. Gareth Bale, overhead kick. When was the one he scored? Champions League final.
Against Liverpool, yeah.
Champions League final, and it was a bit similar to that, but he looked like he'd had 36 holes of golf. His back looks a bit stiff.
But here is Roberts now for Wales. They've made a very good start to the second half here. 4 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Belgium leading by 2-1, but Wales have not been overawed so far on so many occasions in the past, and Dean will know this from having been on the bench. Wales have gone to some of the larger nations in football around Europe and been swept away at times, but there is a self-belief about this team at the moment.
Well, yeah, the danger for Wales is when we start doing well. That's the danger, when you got 3 centre-backs start passing it to each other across the halfway line, and they're like 25 yards apart, passing the ball to each other. If we lose it in a dangerous area, that's when you'll see Lukaku and De Bruyne getting in between our centre-backs. When we're not doing very well and we just pin back, the 3 centre-backs are 10 yards apart, so there's no gaps. So we have to be careful that we don't get sucked into thinking that we're doing great and putting all our team in there half the pitch, and we'll get done on the break.
Wales have only scored more than once, on one occasion in their previous 12 away games. They only scored 7 goals in 8 games in the first half of the international season, but they still picked up 5 wins, 2 draws, and just that single defeat against England at Wembley, with a much changed team. As Denayer over the halfway line for Belgium, goes for a 1-2, but instead it breaks kindly for De Bruyne. He tries to thread it through looking for Lukaku, but Wales will clear, and Denayer was out of position, which is why there was a so-called technical foul there on Morel, and Wales have a free kick midway inside their own half, and Denayer there maybe slightly fortunate to avoid a yellow card.
Yeah, it was a foul, and it was a clever foul though, and I mean, managers do that. You know, when you're playing counter-attack in football, they will say to the players, look, we've got to finish with something. If it fizzles out on the edge of their box, they're going to come back at us. So, you know, if you have a shot or you have a cross, make sure you don't cross it in the keeper's hands. Make sure your shot doesn't dribble into the keeper's hands. You know, and if you have to, foul. Give a foul away, which is a bit cynical, but that's what managers tell them to do.
51 minutes played. We welcome listeners to TalkSport with the scoreline: Belgium 2, Wales 1. Wales with a terrific start to this game despite the early injury to Joe Allen. The goal from Harry Wilson, which was wonderfully made and taken by the Cardiff City midfielder, but Belgium showed their quality. Kevin De Bruyne and Thorgan Hazard with 2 goals in 6 minutes just before the half hour. But Wales have made a decent start to the second half. Gareth Bale shooting just wide with an overhead kick. Dean Saunders is alongside me, and Dean, it's a Wales team lacking experience in some areas, but they've not been overawed.
No, they're playing against the world's best team, ranked number 1. You know, 50 games, 3 defeats, not lost at home since 2010, so we're up against it, but they're doing really well.
A blow for Wales with the early injury for Joe Allen. But they responded well. Joe Morell of Luton Town is the player who has come on, and Jason Denayer has been brought on by Roberto Martinez at half-time. He's replaced Thomas Vermaelen, who at times was having one or two issues with the pace in the Wales attack from Dan James and Gareth Bale, as Wales try and come forward now with Wilson right on this near side, their right. Back in field though towards Connor Roberts, and the back three have it once again. So 52 minutes played. This game is live over on TalkSport 2, and it's Belgium 2, Wales 1. As Denayer gathers by the corner flag on the far side.
There's a start for using his pace, ball over the top. Denayer gets to it first. 5 minutes ago, Gareth Bale gets in a race with Vertonghen, and it's not even a contest. He can't run.
Now it's played back by Vertonghen towards Courtois once again, wearing all lilac, defending the Belgium goal away to our right-hand side. It was taken down well by James, but Tielemans snaps in with the challenge, and now Denayer inside his own penalty area goes back towards Courtois. James is basically doing shuttle runs between two of the three central defenders at the moment, and Vertonghen has been caught out by Wilson near the corner flag on this near side, and Wales have a throw-in.
He's struggling, Vertonghen. He's captain at the minute, he's got the armband on, but he seems to be struggling, especially when he gets out in these wide areas. He doesn't want to be out here in the left back area. He wants to be in the middle where you can't he's got cover, but when he gets isolated, take him on.
Throw in for Wales. Connor Roberts just wiping the ball on his yellow shirt, and he goes short in the end towards Morell, and all the way back towards the halfway line, and there was no real option further forward there for Rodon. So it's a rare touch for Danny Ward in the second half. 54 minutes played. Wales trailing here by 2-1 as it's nodded forward by Mepham, looking for Bale, but guided back towards Courtois once again. And Thibaut Courtois conceded a horrible goal here in Belgium's previous game against Denmark in the Nations League. They won that by 4-2, but Nasser Chadli was credited with an own goal. It was a back pass from the touchline with Courtois allowed to bobble between his legs, and he does have an error in him which Wales almost capitalised right at the start of this game, as Hazard has been penalised for a push on this near side on Connor Roberts, and it will be a free kick to Wales on the byline.
You look at both managers, what options have they got to change the course of this game? And I'm looking at Page's options. He's looking at the bench. He could bring Kiefer Moore on, who's a target man that could hold the ball up. Here we go.
Dan James in space down the left-hand side. Bell makes the run into the penalty area. James may go himself, and he strikes the shot just wide.
Well, I've seen him score one of them for Man United, where he goes down the left, wins a race down the channel. Once again, lack of pace in that Belgium defence. Picks the ball up, drops his shoulder, comes inside on his right foot, and he's going for that Thierry Henry far corner, just past the post. I was waiting for the net to ripple.
But Wales have been the better side since half-time, no doubt about it. 11 minutes played. Belgium 2, Wales 1. But of course they need to be aware of the threat posed by Kevin De Bruyne. Of course scored the equalising goal, and he's been involved in 14 goals in Belgium's last 8 games, 5 goals and 9 assists, and he's involved again here on the right corner of the penalty area. The cross in towards the near post though is charged down by Williams, and then Meunier is penalised for handball, and Wales have a free kick. And it's all about staying in the game really, and Wales are doing that.
Much better there. Dan James has had a shot and finished with something, which the ball's gone out for a goal kick. So Wales have got their defence set again. They get everyone behind the ball, but Belgium break down the right wing, and they cut the ball back to De Bruyne, and this time Morell gets out to De Bruyne and makes him pass it sideways instead of having a shot or a cross. So every time De Bruyne passes the ball to someone else, I'd be delighted.
Thomas Souček has a hat-trick for the Czech Republic. They were a goal down in Estonia, but 11 minutes into the second half they now lead by 6-1.
He gets goals in, doesn't he?
He certainly does.
He's a bit like Gerrard and Lampard, arrives in the box late and gets. I bet some of his goals were arriving in there late today.
He's not too difficult to spot, but he still comes up with the goals. As Wales have a shot on this near side, it was Dan James on the right of the penalty area, and it was some way wide, and an own goal has given Ukraine an equaliser away to France. It's now 1-1 in that match, and in the same group it's also 1-1 between Finland and Bosnia. But of course Wales will face the Czechs next week in what is looking to be a big game already for the Dragons in the World Cup qualification. The other two sides, Estonia and Belarus in Wales' group. Belarus not playing this evening, and of course Wales won't be involved in the group on Saturday when they have this home game against Mexico.
I'm looking at Dan James. He looks sharp tonight. He looks really confident and sharp. He's playing regularly for Man United. When he went from Swansea to Man United and he started off great and then sort of got left out, I was a bit worried for him. I was thinking, is he just going to end up on loan somewhere? But he's forced his way back in the Man United team and he's playing great.
Here's De Bruyne with a cross into the penalty area, deflected behind, and it will be a corner kick to Belgium. 59 minutes played here on TalkSport 2. Don't forget, tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock kick-off, we follow England in their opening game of the UEFA Under-21 Championships. There'll be full commentary of their game with Switzerland with Alex Crook and David Connolly. Later on, live from Wembley, England against San Marino with Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce, Mark Saggers in the chair. Here on TalkSport 2, Joe Shannon and Jerry Taggart will bring you Northern Ireland's game away to Italy. And it's still 1-1 in Belgrade in the match involving Serbia and the Republic of Ireland this evening.
Brilliant play from Dan James again. We head the corner out the box and he comes back, gets the ball first, holds it up, doesn't give the ball away. Brilliant. And now we get an attack from it.
Williams played in by Bale down the left hand side. Williams again looking to check back onto his right foot, but he's found Bale. And Wales here have plenty of bodies forward. The cross is deflected. It's a high looper towards the edge of the penalty area, and eventually it is hooked clear by Hazard. And now there's the opportunity for Dendoncker to try and break, but he's not blessed with lightning pace, and as a result he checks back in field, and Belgium will just play the ball around their back three.
Well, this is where your bench makes the difference for you. Roberto Martinez, even though they're 2-1 up, he won't be happy watching what he's seeing here. He'll be looking, thinking, who am I going to bring on? But their bench, whoever he brings on, they're like world class. So if he makes 3 substitutions, a bit like Guardiola. Remember Guardiola, first game of the season, he brought Sane, Sterling and Aguero on. There's every chance one of them is going to score or make a goal. So he can change this game right now, but Robert Page hasn't got that luxury.
Hazard with a back pass all the way through to Courtois, then lofts a clearance high, right-footed towards the far side where Williams does well to rise, and then Bale has been caught by Meunier, and it will be a free kick for Wales, 15 yards inside the Belgium half on the far side. Among the players available to Roberto Martinez, Adnan Januzaj, Dennis Pratt, who is just back from injury with Leicester, and they've also got Christian Benteke and Michy Batshuayi, along with the Brighton striker Leandro Trossard.
Well, he scored a great goal for Brighton.
He did
earlier in the week, and you've got them two 6'4" athletes who can score, Benteke and Batshuayi.
But a second goal would not flatter Wales on their second half performance so far. Wilson with the free kick high into the area, headed away unchallenged by Denayer. Now Roberts back in field, a high ball forward from Williams again, and he was looking for opportunities down the left and Dan James, but Belgium will clear.
I don't know what they do in Belgium. They just seem to be sitting off us and letting us come forward. We've been the better team. We've had the ball most of the second half. I don't know what they're doing.
Mepham looks to play the ball in behind again, looking for Bale on this near side. Now Mertens, who has been pretty quiet in the game overall. De Bruyne losing out to Mepham. And Roberts plays the ball in field. And Wales again have the opportunity to try and build with Ampadu. He's got support from Lawrence, and then Williams checks back in field. Much of Wales' attacking threat has come through Dan James down the left-hand side since half-time. Ampadu plays the ball from left to right, and now Mepham has the opportunity to carry the ball forward. Roberts in the right wing-back position. He's just held up by Hazard, but he's found Bale, who plays it around the corner looking for Roberts again, but in the end it breaks down and Belgium have the opportunity to clear. But 63 minutes played, Belgium leading by 2-1, as they did at half-time, but there's just a sense that they're taking the foot off the gas.
Well, there's no proactive running. I'm looking at Lukaku. He's just stood still for the last 5 minutes, staring at the back four when they've got the ball. Mertens is staring at... It's a staring contest. They're all just looking at the ball. Someone's... you watch Liverpool or Man United play, the wide players, Salah and Mane, they make runs, which makes you hit the pass. Proactive. At the minute, Belgium, if there's ever a time to beat them, it's tonight.
Hazard swings a long ball across to the right-hand side, and Tielemans, and he was looking for the run of Meunier, but again it is cut out by Williams, who's had a good second half. Ampadu looked to have fouled Mertens, but nothing was given, and now a long ball is played forward again. James looking to use his pace as it's guided back towards Courtois from Denayer, and Courtois just lumps it into the channel once again on the far side. And Belgium not appreciating Wales' threat up top at the moment.
And it's the same the other end. I mean, it just frustrates me watching. I'm watching Lukaku. I'm not picking on him, but I'm just thinking he's playing against James Lawrence, who plays in the second division in Germany.
Now Bale has been penalised. He won the ball midway inside the Belgium half, but he was penalised for a nudge on Tielemans.
Yeah, as I was saying, he's playing against James Lawrence, Mepham, who's playing for Bournemouth in the Championship. Surely he can get him in a race.
And Joe Rodon, who's not playing for Tottenham.
Yeah, surely you can, you'd be rubbing your hands together before the game, thinking, just get me in down the sides of him, or get me over the top. But the three of them have got cigars on.
But maybe not now, as the ball is played across the penalty area. Lukaku looking to burst in field, but what a challenge from Lawrence on the ground. But here is Lukaku again, and this time the shot is blocked by Rodon. Now De Bruyne on the edge of the penalty area, fires in the shot, right-footed, and it's wide.
I nearly looked stupid there.
Common sense is cursed there for being
Saunders. It was Mertens has bent the ball round the back four again, and there's Rodon's in desperate trouble. He comes to Lukaku, but he can't sort his feet out. He's trying to get a shot off. He got surrounded in the end, and it come back to De Bruyne, who's tried one of them right footers, bend it inside the near post. He's hit the side netting. Unlucky.
Tyler Roberts has come on for Wales to replace Harry Wilson. Wales take off their goal scorer, but he did have that knock late in the first half.
Well, Tyler Roberts is a handful on his day as well. I mean, the manager at Leeds seems to like him and, trusts him. He's, if you play to his strengths, he's a decent player. And he's only young.
Yeah, 22.
He'll probably play on Saturday against Mexico.
This is 12th cap, and he's yet to score for Wales. Now Denayer, wide to this near side, and Vertonghen. And yet again, Belgium do look rather ponderous when they look to bring the ball out from the back, but now Denayer will try and have an injection of pace. Alderweireld on the right-hand side, but it's given away by Meunier initially, but he's won it back from Ampadu, and he's found Lukaku on the halfway line, but the ball back in field to Tielemans was quickly cut out, and Wales look to move it forward now. Morel, it was Ampadu who was caught on the halfway line, but he's got back to his feet, and he's now in possession inside the centre circle. Rodon, and Lawrence plays the ball in behind on the left, looking for Roberts had just gone in behind James, but in the end it's out of play for a throw-in to Belgium.
If I was Roberto Martinez now, I'd just stick 2 players on up the front who are going to run in behind Wales's defence without the ball and make them run back towards their own goal. That's all they're lacking.
68 minutes played here on TalkSport 2. Belgium 2, Wales 1. Roberts now looking to make the move forward down the right-hand side, but the high ball towards him is cut out by Denier. But Belgium are beginning to give the ball away. But here is Tielemans, who quickly wins it back. Now Dendoncker finding Denier, who was the last man under pressure from James. De Bruyne back towards Meunier on the far side. And Belgium in an interesting position in this game, leading, in control in terms of the scoreline, but not really the pattern of play since half-time.
Well, we just got to keep it going like this. 68 minutes gone, and as I said, 2-2. We take that every day of the week. So just stay in this game, and fingers crossed, Bale will do something, or Dan James.
Tyler Roberts goes down looking for a free kick on this near side, but Denier wins it back. Aleksandar Mitrovic has just scored for Serbia. They lead the Republic of Ireland by 2-1 in Belgrade. Of course, Ireland had led in that game through Alan Brown.
Who'd be a manager? What's Scott Parker thinking now? Fulham can't score a goal. Mitrovic on the bench. He goes and plays for his country and scores.
He always scores for Serbia, though.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time. Didn't score against Scotland, of course. Belgium again give the ball away, and it was Mertens midway inside the Wales half, but the clearance only finds Hazard. Now Tielemans square towards Alderweireld. Meunier finding De Bruyne. De Bruyne looks to clip it infield. Lukaku knew he was offside and then still picks the ball up and thinks about a shot.
Yeah, he was stood offside there, but they just look ponderous. I know the pitch is not helping, but I'd be worried if Martinez, I must be standing there thinking, this has got 2-2 written all over it. If we don't finish Wales off now, there's every chance we could draw this game.
The Czechs still 6-1 up in Estonia, and that's the game for Wales coming up next Tuesday. A long ball forward from Danny Ward is initially headed away, but now Williams just helps it in behind, encouraging James to chase forward. There's a back pass from Alderweireld, and Courtois will eventually clear. Good leap though from Rodin above Lukaku, but here is De Bruyne now for Belgium on the far side, back towards Meunier, and Alderweireld once again. And Belgium at the moment are just doing enough as we head into the final 20 minutes here on TalkSport 2, the home of the EFL. And we're back with League One action on Saturday, 3 o'clock, Bristol Rovers against Sunderland. Bristol Rovers in the relegation zone, Sunderland looking to put the pressure on the top two. As Belgium come forward again here, across into the penalty area, is brutally kept out by Ward. It was deflected, but a penalty has been given. The subsequent challenge leads to a Belgian penalty, and they now have the opportunity to finally put Wales away. It was Mertens who was fouled, and Belgium with the opportunity to make it 3-1.
It was just a scrappy incident. I mean, De Bruyne has slipped the right wing back in down the right, and he squared it across the face. 3 Wales defenders going in with Lukaku. Danny Ward dives out, parries it out, and I think it's Morel who's Mepham. It's Mepham who doesn't realise there's someone behind him. He's gone to clear the ball, and the lad's just stuck his foot there, toe poked it, he's kicked his leg, penalty, 100%.
We welcome listeners to TalkSport. A penalty for Belgium. Romelu Lukaku will take it on the occasion of his 90th cap. Wales have been the better team since half-time, but this the chance for Belgium to wrap up 3 points. Lukaku steps up, and he makes no mistake. Ward goes the wrong way. Lukaku scores his 58th international goal. And despite taking the lead and a brave performance overall, Wales look to be heading for defeat in their opening World Cup qualifier. It is Belgium 3, Wales 1.
Well, cool as you like. Left foot, he's slow run up, stepped up to the ball, dropped his shoulder with a little shimmy. Danny Ward dives to his right, and he drags it across him into Danny Ward's left-hand corner. Dived the wrong way, but Roberto Martinez will be relieved, because that has sort of sealed the points, I think. And that's what was needed, because I just had the feeling Wales were going to nick a goal.
Well, it's a long way back now with 17 minutes to play, trailing by 3 goals to 1.
It's a scrappy goal again, isn't it, to give away? It's like Mepham's got to realise there's someone behind him when he's tried to volley that ball.
Yeah, the first goal from De Bruyne was superbly taken. Of course, Connor Roberts slipping for the free header for Thorgan Hazard, and then the penalty conceded for the challenge on Mertens. And it's 3-1 to Belgium, but Wales looking to come forward here with Tyler Roberts on this near side, the right, further on towards Roberts, who looks to break into the penalty area, Connor Roberts, but in the end he was just crowded out by Vermaelen, and it's back towards Courtois once again.
He looks a bit hesitant, Courtois as well. Tonight he's come and stopped, and that one he was a through ball, he's come for it, stopped, he looks unsure. But I've just turned in my attentions to Czechoslovakia. No, it's not Czechoslovakia.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. No, I played against Czechoslovakia.
Well, here's an opportunity for Tyler Roberts. Plays it square to Dan James. Left-hand side of the penalty area. Now Bale. Bale looking for Williams on the overlap, but Bale may think about the shot himself. He delivers a cross into the penalty area, and it's headed away. And all the way back now towards the halfway line. Yeah, it was Czechoslovakia, I'm saying now. Czechoslovakia, a new play, but of course the Czech Republic now, yeah. And there's an issue here between Connor Roberts and Thorgan Hazard, right in front of Rob Page, who is there to try and separate them, and the yellow card is out from Kunit Shakir for the first time this evening, and it's towards Thorgan Hazard.
What's the rule on the yellow cards now? How many are allowed in a campaign? Have they changed the rules, or?
It's 2 yellow cards and then it's a ban.
Well, it's not a lot today in the rules of football these days. I'm just wondering, I've been thinking, I don't know how long it'll be before you're not even allowed to go on the floor when you tackle. How long is that going to be? It's not far away. It's nearly non-contact now.
There's a long ball played forward, looking for Lukaku, and this time it's shepherded back by Rodon. A couple of goals going in. Serbia now lead the Republic of Ireland by 3 goals to 1. So Stephen Kenny's team are about to make a losing start as well. And Finland now lead Bosnia by 2 goals to 1. And that's in the French group, where they still draw 1-1 at home with Ukraine. Timo Pukki has scored the goal for Finland. We were talking about him in the first half. He was the only player to score against Wales in the Nations League.
Goal scorer, out and out goal scorer, sharp brain, anticipates, sees it before everyone else, quick.
Alexander Mitrovic scored again for Serbia, so 2 goals in 7 minutes.
Must be, I don't know what Scott Parker's doing. He's doing something wrong.
Roberts with a cross into the penalty area, and it's gathered by Courtois at the near post with 14 minutes to play here on TalkSport 2. Wales trailing by 3 goals to 1, but it's been far from one-way traffic in this game. And you just wonder, had players like Ben Davies and Aaron Ramsey been available to Wales, could it have been different? Or would Belgium simply have still been too good?
Well, no, I thought all 3 goals were avoidable. We would have gone through the shape and the tactics before the game. The first goal, they've gone down the left, turned out, square past to De Bruyne, opens his body out, gets on his right foot, bends it in the far corner. They would have been told before the game, make sure you close him down on the edge of the box. They didn't. He scored. The second goal, Connor Roberts slips. Shocking goal. We score a brilliant goal to start with, and then the third goal is another scrappy goal. Danny Ward cross across the fist. Danny Ward dived out towards the penalty spot, parried the ball. Mepham thinks he can clear it. Toe pull, penalty. So all three goals could have been avoided, but we haven't been cut open.
Interesting game coming up on Saturday in Prague. It's the Czech Republic against Belgium.
Good game. These players, though, you've got to say, they're playing that many games. They must be jaded, and you see, like Joe Allen with a hamstring, he's not played for months, but he's probably done that over an accumulation of trying too hard to be fit for this game. But these players are minutes away from injuries.
Here is Tielemans for Belgium. 12 minutes to play here, leading Wales by 3-1. Tielemans once again. Plays a 1-2 with Hazard. Now De Bruyne. Wales just beginning to look a bit weary now and in full retreat around the edge of their own penalty area. Denier. Bale will try and produce more of an issue further up the field, but Belgium, after that penalty, now fully in control of this game.
Yeah, and going back to the injuries again, the technology they've got now, they can actually see some of the injuries coming. They've got GPS vests on, they've got all sorts of sports scientists. They track the players, every step they take. 2 weeks before an injury, they can normally track it back to, he's done too much. That's why they leave certain players out of games, and you think, why has he left him out? It's probably just thinking he's 90 minutes away from a hamstring or a thigh strain. Players would disagree and say, I want to play, but sometimes you've got to take it out of their hands. But I bet Guardiola's thinking, Roberto Martinez, you're going to take De Bruyne off 3-1 up.
Well, they're about to make a change, and it's Timothy Castagne of Leicester who will be coming on. Player who slotted in really well in the Premier League for Brendan Rodgers' team. De Bruyne has won a corner on the far side, which is lofted high into the penalty area, nodded away initially by Lawrence. Now De Bruyne again, it's a deeper ball whipped in. Lukaku shaping for the far post header, but Wales scramble it clear, straight back to De Bruyne, and eventually it is lofted away by Lawrence up towards the halfway line.
That's how you defend the far post. Was it Mepham marking Lukaku, deep cross again, exactly the same as the goal he scored from. He's got his arms up, gets his head to the ball, stops him. That's another thing. You can't get your arms up anymore. You used to be able to like look at the ball and feel where the striker is. Now if you do that, you're in danger of giving a penalty away.
Lukaku on the move on the far side, but good challenge coming in again from Rodon. And Wales will try and stay in the game with 9.5 minutes to play. It's important really they don't concede another, because 4-1 looks like a real beating. It's not really been like that.
Well, obviously from what I'm about to say, I've sort of given up on this game, because I'd take Bale off and get him ready for the Czech game. I know we're only 2 goals away from getting a draw, but 10 minutes to go, get him off.
Tielemans pings it forward again, first time ball on from Mertens, and in the end Dendonker's route towards goal is halted, but Mertens wins it back. He's such a clever player, and Lukaku gave the ball away rather cheaply there to Ampadu, but Belgium quickly have white shirts around the ball to win it back. 8.5 minutes to play on TalkSport 2. England against Switzerland from the UEFA Under-21 Championships coming up. 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That's with Alex Crook and David Connolly. And the senior team up against San Marino at Wembley tomorrow night. Should be a few goals there, with Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce, with Italy against Northern Ireland here on TalkSport 2. The Wales heading for defeat in their first World Cup qualifier, but it's been given away very cheaply by Belgium. Here is Bale now, breaking towards the edge of the penalty area. Has support from James, tries to flick the ball in field, but he can't link up with the Manchester United winger, and Belgium will bring the ball clear, and that's a shame.
Yeah, we've conceded 3 goals, haven't we? So, you know, that was on the cards probably. We had the betting odds before the kick-off, and we were 8-1. Obviously because of Belgium's stature in the game. They will be looking to win the World Cup, win the Euros. So we can't lose heart at what's happened. We've got a few injuries. Put it behind us and move on to the Czech game.
Rooney on the chase on the far side, but the challenge comes in from Lawrence, and it will be a throw into Belgium. Changes will be made before that happens. We're just watching a replay of Lukaku's opportunity once again. It was really good defending by Mepham at the far post. Thorgan Hazard is replaced, and Timothy Castagna, the man who comes on.
Yeah, you know, that's what they're there for. I know it's like a bit basic, but full-backs are on the pitch to stop crosses coming in the box. Get the ball, play, but most of all, you're a defender, stop the crosses coming in. Good, Gareth Bale's going off. Delighted.
Kiefer Moore is coming on to replace him. And of course, Bale's value to the Wales team in that game coming up against the Czechs can't really be overstated, and it's the sort of game where Kiefer Moore may also start as well.
I like Kiefer Moore, and Mick McCarthy loves him. I've watched Cardiff's last 6 or 7 games, and he is a workhorse. He reminds me of Kevin Doyle, that type of player. Can do a bit of everything, holds it up, scores a goal, but he will unselfishly make runs all day.
16 goals in the Championship this season.
Yeah, and he's an asset to us, Wales, because he can, you know, he's that type of player. He's a target man. We haven't got another one.
Roberts now with a high cross in, looking for Kiefer Moore, but it's beyond him. Nico Williams at the far post will try and keep the ball in play, and he's done well. Wales have won a corner.
He's done well, hasn't he? Really, you know, when you look at the whole game, he's hardly played a game. He's probably played... How many games he played in his career? 10? Probably. Played a few for Liverpool, but...
Probably as many for Wales.
Yeah, he's done well though, but considering he's playing against world-class players out of position, he's playing left-back. I thought he's done well. I thought Bale looked good. I thought Dan James was probably our best player. Sharp. 3 centre-halves have done alright. Playing against Lukaku and not looked bothered.
James with a corner now, high into the penalty area, rather flapped at by Courtois, but he's got the free kick as he was challenged at the near post. Not too sure, well, yeah, maybe there was a hand on him, but no more than that.
I'm not sure about Courtois either when I watch him.
So Belgium are the world's #1 ranked team, but I don't think they have the best goalkeeper in the world by some distance.
Well, he's not had a lot to do tonight, but he's hesitated 4 times. Coming for crosses, just flapped at that one. Any team that wins anything have normally got the best goalkeeper, or one of the best.
Here is De Bruyne. Now Tielemans wide towards the far side again. And Belgium just looking to play out time here with 4 minutes to play, leading by 3 goals to 1. Wales were ahead for around 12 minutes in the first half. James Collins has pulled a goal back for the Republic of Ireland. They now trail 3-2 in Serbia, having led in that game as well.
It's funny how it goes in cycles, you know, these small countries like us and Belgium and Ireland. Belgium, like the cycle of players that come through all at once, and we had a cycle, you know, where Bale and Gunter and Ledley and Cottrell, and we had a group of them all come through at once. And then it seems to dry up for a bit, and then, you know, Scotland used to have, the whole squad was playing in the Premier League, well, the First Division then. And then they'd run out of, you could remember they had Ali McCoist, and you could name about 8 strikers there, world class.
Of course, Wales had Ocean Roberts as part of their backroom team, who was a very good technical director as the shot is fired in by Mertens and gathered by Danny Ward. Of course, Rob Page effectively replaced Ocean Roberts on the staff, but Roberts was the sort of coach who would go into all the clinics and spot the players very early on, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I know. I got my coaching badges with Ocean. He'd all the way through the Welsh FA. And he's a good coach, and obviously likes doing the other side of it, all the paperwork and the organisation. He's a good coach. I think he's manager of Morocco.
He's the technical director of Morocco now. Yeah,
they've got some good players.
Yeah, well, he was somebody who was really key to Wales's sort of breakthrough. But of course, Rob Page is doing a decent job as well, as a flick into the penalty area doesn't come off from Dan James. And we have 2 minutes to play. Belgium leading 3-1.
You go back to that, Ocean come into the Gary Speed setup. Sadly, we lost Gary. Chris Coleman took over. Started off with, I think, no wins in about 10 or 11. Ocean was his right-hand man. Eventually, Ocean helped Chris transform it, and Chris turned us into a winning machine. Stopped the goals going in first. We had 8 clean sheets we had, and all the flair players started winning games for us, and they've kept that going, so I'm sure you'll be welcome back, Ocean.
Estonia have scored 6-2. They now trail the Czech Republic in the other game in this group this evening. As Kevin De Bruyne was just caught by Dan James. It will be a free kick for Belgium, and De Bruyne has played 90 minutes. Yuri Tielemans is also looking to finish this game as well.
Yeah, you'd be nervous with managing De Bruyne, because he does pick up injuries, and obviously when he travels with the ball and he gets the ball that much, he gets a lot of kicks as well, ankle injuries.
Here is Mepham for Wales. He's down the line looking for Kiefer Moore, who stopped running, and the ball in the end goes behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, he come towards the ball and Mepham played him down the side, which is, both blaming each other. But, you look at the game, it's fizzled out in the end. The third goal just ended the game, the penalty. We still had a chance at 70 minutes, but we can't lose any heart from this. I think we've done all right, actually. I was fearing the worst when I seen their lineup, and no Ramsey, no Ben Davis, no Hennessy, but we've done okay.
It will be Wales' first competitive defeat since those 2 back-to-back losses in the summer of 2019. As Kiefer Moore comes forward now down the right-hand side, plays it back towards Connor Roberts. The low cross in is deflected away. It's gathered by Tyler Roberts out on the left-hand side. He looks to jink his way towards the penalty area. Back it goes towards Ampadu. Now Mepham. Connor Roberts was looking for support further down the line, right-hand side, but in the end Mepham will go all the way back towards Lawrence once again.
Through ball there to Kiefer Moore. Courtois once again come out, hesitated, stopped.
We're into a minimum of 2 more minutes at the end of this game. Wales trailing by 3-1.
Robert Page right now will be thinking of what team he's going to pick on Saturday against Mexico. Who's he going to play? What he's trying to get out of that game. To be honest, I don't know why we're playing that game, but it's the last thing they need, these players, with all the games they're playing right now. 3 a week. But he'll be thinking, what can I get out of that game? And then he'll have one eye on the Czech game, for what really matters.
Well, Belgium play 3 qualifiers in this international break. They also have a home game with Belarus to come after their trip to Prague. Czech Republic have beaten Estonia 6-2 in Tallinn tonight, which is a great start for them. Thomas Souček with a hat-trick, as Nico Williams is fouled on the far side, and Belgium are making a change. Dries Mertens is the player who is withdrawn, and Brighton's Leandro Trossard comes on to win his 4th cap. I'm
not sure. I think you might be able to help me with this one. I'm trying to think while we're playing Mexico. Do you have to play 3 games in this break?
Well, you can do, but obviously Wales are the odd team out in the second round of games, so they have the opportunity to sort out a friendly. Free kick for Wales, played into the penalty area, and it's cleared away. Of course, Wales used to be the team which famously never played friendlies, and Chris Coleman would prefer to use the time for training camps, and as a result their world ranking improved because they weren't losing games to the higher calibre of opposition. And that's the full-time whistle, and Wales have been beaten by the top-ranked team in the world in their first World Cup qualifier. But much to be proud of in their performance overall. Harry Wilson briefly gave Wales the lead in the first half. That was cancelled out by Kevin De Bruyne and Thorgan Hazard before half-time, before Romelu Lukaku wrapped things up with a penalty midway through the second half. But Wales do have something to build on before what's now already a very important game at home to the Czech Republic next week. It is finished. Belgium 3, Wales 1.